being impulsive or maybe a little bit reckless. If we're hanging out on a Sunday night and someone notices how late it's become, my friends will be reaching for their jackets and complaining about how early they have to get up tomorrow, whereas I will usually say something like, look guys, how much rest are you really going to get in 3 or 4 hours of sleep? Let's just stay up. We'll get to see the sunrise, we'll go have breakfast, it'll be fun, it'll be great. This is almost always met with, I don't think that's really a good idea. To which I always say the same thing. Of course it's a bad idea, that's why we should do it. And everyone laughs. They think I'm joking, but I'm really not. I'm actually serious about this. I think it is a good idea to enact those bad ideas that happen on us every now and again. And today I'm going to try a few different arguments to try to convince you of this. The first one I call the argument from serendipity. If you start from considering what a good idea is, it's some decision or activity that you expect to have a positive or pleasant outcome. And likewise, a bad idea is one that you expect to have a negative outcome. If you consider the extreme case where you never do anything that is a bad idea, and the only things you ever do are the things that you think are good ideas, you will probably have fairly pleasant life, pleasant experiences, but things will go wrong sometimes. Things will not go according to plan, and you'll be surprised. And all of those surprises will end up being nasty ones. If you're always expecting something good, the things that surprise you are the bad things. And to me, that sounds really dreary and undesirable. I really love pleasant surprises, those fortuitous occurrences that you couldn't have planned but sure feel like they could have been planned, those moments of serendipity. Those are something I really value in my life. And I look at, taking chances or doing things that seem like a bad idea as a way to make space in my own life for those pleasant surprises to happen. So to give an example, last week I went up to Shoreline and I was taking the bus back. And it wasn't until I saw the bus come around the corner that I realized that my Orca card was empty and I didn't have any cash on me. It wouldn't have been hard to go to a shop and get some change, but then I would have missed the bus, had to wait another hour and a half for the next bus. It would have been a pain. I resigned myself to this and I turned around to leave the bus stop and there's $5 on the ground. That moment when I see the $5, oh good, I got that hour and a half back. That was amazing. It made me really happy and I was grinning about that for days afterwards. Maybe it's irrational, but the opportunity to have those moments don't come by unless you're putting yourself in situations like in Shoreline without money for the bus, where you have to expect bad things to happen. But maybe you don't find the argument convincing. Maybe the cost of having things go wrong isn't worth the benefit you gain from making room in your life for pleasant surprises. Fine, it's reasonable. We'll move on to what I call the argument from recommendations. If a good idea is something that we expect to have a positive value or a positive outcome, those expectations come from somewhere. One place I like to think they come from is the sort of recommendations we make to ourselves. I compare these to those recommendations you get on online shopping sites. Amazon.com will say things like, you purchased Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling. You might also enjoy The Magicians by Lev Grossman. And in the same way, we're doing that same sort of thing for ourselves when we consider things we might do. Oh, I really didn't enjoy roller coasters, so that probably means I'll also hate skydiving. So skydiving's a bad idea. The thing about the recommendations, either the ones we make to ourselves or the ones we get from outside, is they're not always right. I have a friend who absolutely loved going skydiving and she hates roller coasters. And I know plenty of people who hated The Magicians despite enjoying Harry Potter. Taking the opportunity to engage in things that might seem like bad ideas is a way of acknowledging that our judgments and perceptions aren't always right, and we have to put them to the test. Giving ourselves the opportunity to judge everything on their own merits this way, I think is something really valuable. It's a habit that's worth cultivating. But you might say I'm just putting up a straw man argument here. I'm talking about things that seem like bad ideas but aren't. What about those things that we are certain, we absolutely know are bad ideas, where we know things aren't going to work out very well? For that I have my third argument, where I'll say that I don't think that sort of certainty is particularly easy to come by. I call it the argument from tomatoes. When I was a kid, I absolutely hated raw tomatoes. There was nothing about eating them that I found tolerable. The texture was mealy, that membrane around the seeds was all slimy, the flavor was too acidic, there's just nothing good about it. And like all good parents, my parents tried to teach me to like them, and I fought them tooth and nail till I was about 8 or 9 years old when they finally gave up, and they said, all right, this kid eats enough other vegetables, we'll let him skip the raw tomatoes. It was about 10 years before I tried them again. Senior year of high school, I was hanging out at the grandparents' house with my cousins, and my grandma brings in a plate of sandwiches, and I bite into one, and it is the best sandwich I've ever had. I open it up to see what's in it, and there's a bunch of raw tomatoes in there, just sliced up. And I was astonished. I was shocked. I actually sat there staring at it for a few minutes, and my cousins asked me what was wrong. And somewhere in those 10 years that I'd spent absolutely refusing to even look at a raw tomato, I'd gone from hating them to absolutely loving them. This is astonishing to me. And most astonishing of all is that I had no idea this was happening. If I hadn't tried the tomato that day, I might still not know that I liked tomatoes. I'd still think that I hated them. So, the certainty that something is a bad idea, that you won't enjoy something, or that it will turn out badly, that certainty is something you come by direct experiences. But those experiences, they become obsolete. You change and grow over time. Your tastes and changes develop. Or your tastes will change and develop, rather. And trying things that you think are bad ideas, or that you know are bad ideas, is a way of keeping in touch with yourself, giving yourself time to grow or change, and giving yourself the opportunity to enjoy the person you're becoming day by day, to make room for those new developments. And that, again, seems like something that I would always want to do. Because odds are, sometime, maybe for 9 of those 10 years, I was depriving myself of something that I really liked because I thought I didn't like it. That's just subjecting yourself to the tyranny of taste. And that's awful. And what's worst of all is it's not even your own tastes that you're subjecting yourself to. It's the tastes of that person that you were months or years or decades ago when you developed that opinion. So, the 3 arguments, if you want to run through them real quick, it's the argument from serendipity, which says bad ideas give you an opportunity to put pleasant surprises in your life, or put yourself in the path of pleasant surprises, rather. The argument from recommendations, which is saying that bad ideas give you an opportunity to test your own judgment. And the argument from tomatoes, which says that bad ideas give you chances to grow, or to follow yourself as you grow, I guess. And I don't know about you, but all that sounds like a pretty good idea to me.
Let's have a minute to make a comment.